All right, I'm back again. This time we're going to look at this most recent event in Washington, D.C., and not going to look at the event. We're just going to look at what the mainstream media is reporting on it. And of course, you have to take everything with a grain of salt that these people are saying, but I'm just looking at it from the official story version of what they're reporting. So first of all, there's some really interesting information, if this information is true, on this MSN Now article. It says that Trump called in approximately 2,000 National Guard troops from other states to the nation's capital in August to address what he called out-of-control crime. The District of Columbia sued the administration, and a federal judge earlier this month ruled the deployment illegal, saying the federal government had exceeded its authority. Right. Then basically it was going to take effect December 11th. About 160 Guard troops from West Virginia remained deployed in the district as of last week. So most of the troops have already been removed from DC. So that's interesting. Maybe that's why, one of the reasons why these guys were not protected as well. I'm assuming they were guys. I mean, I'm sorry for assuming their gender, but I'm just kind of assuming that, because if now they've thinned out the troops to only 160 from 2,000, right? And it was kind of, they were on their way out. Basically, they're already, so maybe that's why they had their guard down, because, maybe they were just kind of like biding their time until they, this December 11th thing, and they already knew that their mission was over, or whatever they were doing was pretty much done. Okay. Now, if we look at CNN, they're giving a kind of similar report. There's some interesting information in this one as well. The Department of Homeland Security has identified the suspect. Officials briefed on the investigation said that they believe the shooter's initial identification matches a man from Washington State. You see, so that in and of itself is kind of odd, because the fact that if he actually traveled from Washington State just to do this at a time when they were basically already phasing out the troops, like literally on December 11th, which is like a week or so from now, that all the troops except for like 160 troops, I mean, that's basically just helping out the police force a little bit. I know the libertarians are like freaking out about any troops, but I mean, police's job is hard, and they don't have all the equipment and stuff, and this, 2,000 troops, maybe that was a lot, but 160 is definitely not a lot. That's definitely not a lot if that's all that's remaining. And then this guy traveled all the way from Washington to attack them. That's kind of weird. That's really kind of weird. But it also says here that now Trump, because of this, now I'm not saying that Trump is involved. I'm definitely not saying that. But, if people are going to go the fake flag route, it might not be the best, because obviously this is showing that, Trump would be the one that's benefiting from the fake flag. So I mean, it's kind of weird to me that the guy would travel from Washington to do this. And I mean, it's obviously, if he's following the news, then he would know that that they were sued, and that, the troops are being minimized, basically, right? So it's weird. It's definitely weird, right? So, but now it's saying the administration responded swiftly to the horror by doubling down on the deployment. Trump asked Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to mobilize 500 additional National Guard service members to the Capitol. The administration had also filed an emergency court order seeking to keep Guard troops in the city after a federal judge last week ordered their removal pending appeal. Right. And then they're saying, it's controversial. Yeah, it's controversial, but I mean, keeping people safe is uncontroversial. So, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt, what they're saying. But, I mean, this has allowed Trump to mobilize additional 500. I mean, realistically, that's not that many people even. That's not really that many. I mean, that's about it. Everything else is pretty much straightforward. Right? Oh, that's the other thing. That's right. That Trump was starting to vet immigrants from certain countries, so that could be a possible cause. Where does it say that? Okay. But he also used the moment to drive home his campaign against other migrants in politically charged remarks that went far beyond Afghanistan. At a moment when his administration is moving to re-interview some refugees admitted under President Joe Biden and revoking temporary protected status for those from several dangerous world hotspots, right? So that could also be a possible reason for this. Because I mean, the guy traveled from Washington. If he traveled from Washington, I mean, that takes a lot of resources. And so if he did that, the idea that we're already removing the troops, so it doesn't make sense that he would do that when they were already to get rid of the troops, because they were already removing the troops, right? But this kind of makes sense though too, right? That if Trump was, reviewing or re-interviewing some refugees admitted under Biden and revoking their protected status, that could be a possible reason why this guy traveled all the way from Washington, if he traveled from Washington. So, Trump dissing the Somalis, but that's nothing new. But see, and now there's going to be questions about vetting Afghanistan immigrants, many of whom came to the U.S. during the Biden administration. And then, the media is going to play this as though Trump is being racist against Somalians, right? And that he's a dictator that wants to bring in a standing army, when in fact, he could have done a lot more here besides mobilize 500 additional troops. And he could be mobilizing tanks. You know what I'm saying? He could be mobilizing those crazy sound laser guns. He could be mobilizing helicopters and all types of other stuff. There's been an attack on military service members. He can mobilize whatever he wants after that. And it seems pretty restrained that he's only mobilizing an additional 500 people. So one could make the case that this is benefiting Trump, that this event is benefiting Trump, but if he was really going for like the Hegelian dialectic play, why would he only mobilize 500 troops? Like, yeah, it is a good instance for him to bring back some troops, for sure. But I mean, maybe he was mobilizing 10,000 troops all of a sudden, or even 1,000 troops, and giving them more munitions or something like that, that I would be more inclined to say, well, yeah, maybe we should check in where this guy's. But with this information also, the fact that Trump might be re-interviewing people, See, here's where they're saying he vowed to re-examine every single alien who came to the U.S. from Afghanistan in remarks that will likely create fear among law-abiding immigrants. Trump is racist. And of course, you guys will be on CNN and NBC with all your pundits saying, oh, Trump's racist. He's coming for all the Afghanistans. He's coming for all the Somalis. He's coming for all the immigrants. Right? So they benefit from this too. They benefit because now they get to say that, oh, Trump's a tyrant. Trump's harassing immigrants because of what one immigrant did. Well, I mean, it's a country that we were literally at war with like about a year ago. So the fact that we even let anyone in is astounding. Like truly astounding that we let anyone in from a country that we just had a war with, let alone, military age men. I can see bringing women and children, but military age men, come on. From a country that we were just at war with. And I mean, I've heard that he was possibly working with Americans, but who knows? Doesn't have that information in here. So I'm just going by what this is reporting. And so, the libertarians can get mad, but I mean, there was literally just an actual kinetic attack on military troops in Washington, D.C. And his only response was to just mobilize 500 more troops. I would say that that's a pretty measured response for the, the gravity of what just happened. So you can't really say that Trump's going nuts, going crazy, and he's about to mobilize the stormtroopers, right? And at the same time, the mainstream media is going to say now that Trump is racist because he wants to, check people from Afghanistan now. And there is a question of, was this guy someone who might have been possibly losing his protected status because he was admitted under Joe Biden, right? That's a definite possibility here. And then we have to ask, where was this guy? Because if they're saying he came from Washington, D.C., Washington State, all the way to D.C., when it's already publicly known that, these guard troops were going to be removed. So it's just, something to think about. I don't know the answer. I'm not claiming to know the answer. I'm not even claiming that this information is true. All I know is that this is the mainstream media and what a lot of people are going to be getting their information from, CNN and MSNBC and all that stuff. So I put the link to these two articles below, and that's just my thoughts on the topic. I will talk to you guys later, and peace.